fantastic day. I want to welcome you all today. Thank you so much for joining, whether you're joining from IG, FB, YT, wherever you're joining from. Thank you so much for coming in. And listen, I want to start today with something that I think a lot of consultants, coaches, trainers, independent experts like yourself think about, but we don't talk enough about. All right. You sit down and you say, okay, today, like today, right? It is Sunday. So you might be thinking, today is the day I'm going to start doing some business development, start looking for new clients. And so you open up LinkedIn and maybe you're paying the almost $100 a month for Sales Navigator, right? And you put in your criteria. You're going to put in industry, you're going to put in company size, you're going to put in job title, you're going to put in geography, and then LinkedIn Navigator or even just regular LinkedIn is going to give you hundreds, maybe even thousands of people that you can reach out to, right? And you sit there looking at that screen thinking, okay, who am I actually supposed to contact, right? Of all these people, where do I start? And even if you pick somebody, why them? And why now? Why that organization even? Why today? Right? Is it just any given Sunday? Just, because they popped up? And what are you going to say that is actually relevant to them? Right? Not, oh, I see we go to the same school or we went to the same high school or college. Oh, I see that we both like pickleball. I see that we both know so and so or such and such, and I'd love to connect and tell you all about my leadership program, all about my communications program, all about my wellness program, all about my finance program. Why would they care right now, let alone at all? And this is where business development and client acquisition starts to feel exhausting, quite frankly. So maybe you cancel your Sales Navigator for the month because you're like, who needs to be paying $89.99 and I don't even know what I'm doing? Then somebody tells you cold email. Cold email, that is the answer. So you buy yet another tool. Then AI comes along. Sound familiar? Now we can send more emails faster, okay, with better personalization. The whole 3 points rule, right? But here's the question that I've been thinking about and that I want to pose to you all. If you have more tools than we've ever had for finding people and contacting people, why is finding business still so difficult for so many people? Why is that? I think that part of the answer is this. We're making it easier to throw spaghetti at the wall. That's really what it comes down to. And throwing spaghetti at the wall is really not a strategy. It's just something to do to stay busy, to say that we're doing something, right? Now here's where I want to take this conversation. Okay? Big companies have people and systems helping them to decide where to focus. They're not, throwing spaghetti at the wall. Independent experts are expected to figure it out all on their own. I want you to think about that. Listen, I've spent more than 20 years working with organizations around learning and development, leadership, and organizational capability. And when you are working inside or alongside sophisticated organizations, decisions don't simply begin with who should we call today, right? Flipping open the book or the Rolodex. I know I'm dating myself, right? But they don't start with like, who should we call? Organizations actually have data. They have research. They have strategy functions. They have market intelligence. They have business intelligence. They have high-priced analysts who come in every day and do the research, right? They hire or subscribe to firms like Gartner and others because they want to understand what is changing in the marketplace and how should we react to it and respond to it as a business. What's actually happening in the market? Where are the risks? Where are the opportunities, right? Where should we begin paying attention? See, putting your attention where it should be is the key to all of it. They want intelligence before they make important decisions. But then here you are, you become an independent consultant, and you are now the CEO. You are the strategist. You are the researcher. You are the marketer, right? You have all these hats. You're the salesperson. You're doing all these things. You're the business developer. And somehow, some kind of way, you're also supposed to figure out which 20 companies out of thousands might have a reason to talk to you. Right? That is an enormous intelligence gap. There's a gap in the knowing, a gap in the data. And we've been trying to solve an intelligence problem primarily with prospecting tools. You've been using these tools like LinkedIn Navigator to try to solve that question. Who do I reach out to right now? Now, let me just say this. As somebody who has a Sales Navigator account, Sales Navigator is not a bad thing. Cold email is not inherently a bad thing. And AI outreach isn't a bad thing either. But I want you to understand that those are actually execution tools. The problem is what happens before you use those tools. See, most business development advice starts with, who is your ideal client? You've heard that question before. I'm sure you've asked yourself. The next question might be, who is the decision maker? Who do I need to reach out to? And how do you contact them? But I think that there's a question that belongs before those questions. And that is, where is there evidence that something is happening that could make what I do relevant? See, that's a completely different starting point. And this connects directly to what I've been talking about this weekend and for the last few weeks. I suggested that you pull out your course, okay? Pull out your training, pull out your workshop, your coaching program, whatever it may be. I want you to look at your consulting framework. Most of you all have a framework, a 3-part, 5-part, 7-part framework, and stop asking what's in it. Ask, what business problem does this actually solve? Because see, once you understand the problem that you solve, you can start asking a much more intelligent question based on data. What would I expect to see happening in an organization where this problem could become important? Now, I'm not just looking for companies, right? You should be looking for signals. That's the difference, not just companies. And so many of you all just look for a list of companies. Organizations are sending signals constantly about what they're doing. They're not going to advertise it on LinkedIn, but they will send signals. Maybe there's an acquisition, a major expansion. Maybe they brought in a brand new CEO. Maybe there is restructuring. Maybe there's a major technology implementation. Another signal could be a government contract or a regulatory change. Another signal could be a financing event or a workforce change or a new strategic initiative. All of these are signals that tell us something because companies cannot go and advertise their problems on LinkedIn. They just can't for a lot of different reasons, including some legal ones. But with those signals, we see that something has happened. And this is really important. A signal is not automatically an opportunity. No, not automatically. If a company hires a CEO, that doesn't mean great. They're going to need executive coaching right now. If a company implements AI, that doesn't automatically mean that they need change management training. Not automatically, right? That's just another version of throwing spaghetti at the wall, which we already know doesn't really work, right? The signal gives us a reason to ask questions. Questions like, what happened? And why did it happen? What else is happening around it? Right? Those are the signals that you want to be looking for because companies are not going to advertise it on LinkedIn. What organizational pressures does that signal create? And is there actual evidence of a capability issue? That is the smarter question. And then, does any of this intersect with the business problem you solve? That intersection, that's where information becomes intelligence and not just information. We live in the information age. So let me show you a real example, right? It's not all about information. We can get information. So this past Friday, a company called OneMain Finance filed an 8K report with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And buried in that filing was a material event. Okay. OneMain entered into an underwriting agreement connected to the issuance and the sale of $600 million in senior notes that's due in 2034. Okay. Now imagine you are sitting home. Okay. It's Friday afternoon or Sunday, as it were. And would you have seen that? Probably not. You probably wouldn't even know what to look for necessarily. But even if you had, would you know what to do with it? That's the question. And quite frankly, that is the more important question. Because you could look at this and you could look at that signal and say, wow, $600 million, that means there's an opportunity. No, it doesn't necessarily mean there's an opportunity. Not yet. Not yet. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to find out. Oh, we're going to find out. What you know is that something happened. That's what you know. Okay? That filing tells you that the proceeds are intended for general corporate purposes and may include debt repurchases and repayments. Okay? Interesting. All right? But now the investigation begins. We want to know, is this an ordinary refinancing activity? Is it connected to something larger? And what has the organization been saying about this strategy? You want to know, are there other significant signals? Now, I know this sounds like a lot of work. I get it. I do. Okay. Now, we happen to actually just do this work for our clients. This is part of what we do here at KTCB. All right. because most of our clients don't have time to do all this investigative work. They just want to get down to it. They want to know who they should be talking to. They want the questions answered for them already. Is this an isolated event or is it part of a pattern? They want to know so that they know how to position their training so that when they reach out to these people, they sound like they know what they're talking about. They want to know, does it create an organizational capability that is supported by evidence? And if the answer is no, then we tell them to move on so they don't waste their time. That's intelligence. That's data. And, you know, we get paid very nicely to save people time and money. Okay. Because if you know that time is money. So for some, they just pay for intelligence. That's what Bloomberg report is about. That's what Gartner is about. All right. So there are organizations that actually handle data analysis, and they just give it to companies. Well, companies pay for it, right? So that they know where to spend their time and energy. So here's where something interesting happens. Now, you can go to Sales Navigator. Absolutely. If you feel like forking out the $100 a month, but I don't recommend you do it if you don't know what you're going to use it for, right? So you're not going to look at it and say, please give me somebody to sell something to, right? You already know an organization that you are investigating. That's the difference. You know what happened when you have the signals, and you know why you're paying attention. You have some understanding of the potential business issue. Now you can investigate, right? If we're not doing it or somebody else is not doing it for you, you need to do it. Who leads the function? You need to know that. Who owns the initiative? You need to know that. Who bears responsibility for that signal? Do I know somebody that is connected to them? Who in my network knows somebody who's there? See, but the thing is that you all you don't even know why you're connecting with that particular company, right? So it becomes a waste of time, a juggernaut of time, and then you end up kind of giving up on it. Intelligence tells you where to focus. It tells my clients where to focus. Prospecting tools help you go there and go deeper once you get the intelligence. See, once you get the signals and the intelligence, then you can go and find out who you talk to. So here's what I want you thinking about this week. Okay. Big organizations have had access to this kind of thinking and analysis for decades. They use market research. They hire analysts. They use intelligence. They use evidence to help determine where attention belongs. And not just staring at the screen or staring at LinkedIn saying, where do I start? No. Independent experts have largely been expected to figure this out alone. Whole industries have been built on you all trying to figure it out. And I think we can change that. I really do. Because I don't think that you need 5,000 leads or prospects. You don't. You might need 5 organizations where the timing, evidence, and of a business problem create a legitimate reason for you to pay attention and reach out. That is a very different business development and client acquisition strategy. All right. That is the big girl, big boy strategy. That is evidence-led business development, not throwing spaghetti at the wall, not opening up LinkedIn and just randomly reaching out to people, copy paste, right? Instead of contact the list and hope we move toward a discovery call. No, you want a signal, evidence, intelligence, know where to focus, research, and then initiate a conversation. It actually saves you time. Okay, we're not eliminating relationships. We're not eliminating LinkedIn. You're not eliminating referrals. What you're doing is setting yourself up so that you are having intelligent conversations when you do reach out. So you're not talking about the fact that you all both like pickleball. We're talking about what happens before the outreach. Nobody wants to talk about that piece because they know most people don't want to spend the time to do what they need to do. But that's only because you don't have the framework to do it. You don't know what to do, so it just seems overwhelming, so nobody does it. I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how to do it to where you're not spending 3 and 4 hours at a time doing this, because it doesn't take all of that, and how to interpret these signals. The people who are winning the contracts, they already know this and are doing it. Here's how we separate something interesting from something actually worth investigating and looking at, and how you connect that intelligence back to the business problem that your expertise solves. Because here's the deal. I want you to stop sitting in front of blank Sales Navigator screens. I want you to stop sitting in front of blank screens thinking, who should I contact today? Who should I reach out to today? I want you to be able to sit down and say, these are the organizations I need to understand better, and here's why. That is a completely different place to start. And that's what we're going to work on. That's what I'm going to show you how to do. If this sounds like a problem that you've been having, I want you to put the word signals in the comments. Just put it down, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. I want to know how many of you have been paying for tools like LinkedIn Navigator and still sitting there thinking, okay, where do I start? Where do I start? You got a list. Now what? You have a list. Now what? Somebody gave you a list. Now what? Or somebody showed you how to get a list from ChatGPT. Now what? Somebody showed you how to send cold emails through a tool like, what is it? Apollo or something like that. Now what? Now what? And you don't have the now what. All you have is a big, huge list. And it means absolutely nothing. If a big, huge list could do it, how come everybody's not a millionaire? Gazillionaire? If it was just about information, how come everybody's not a gazillionaire by now? That's a real question. Because we live in the information age. You can get information without even putting your feet on the ground in the morning. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, tell me. And it will tell you. I am telling you that if you're looking for shortcuts to what businesses have known for decades, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're interested in, okay, Kat, I don't have time to go through hundreds of lists or thousands of lists or even dozens of lists that I can get from LinkedIn and all these other repositories. I don't have time for it. I don't have time to be sending out direct messages at random, kind of at random, based on what LinkedIn gave me. I just want, give me 3 to 5. That's what our clients say. Give me 3 to 5 that we can focus on, that I can focus on, that I can look and I can say, hey, how do I position my program based on what this company is signaling? 3 to 5. So they may not have time to do all the research and all of the things. We actually do that. Okay, so that they do not have to. So when you look at companies such as OneMain that I showed you, as well as oh, you have to excuse me. showing you right now are is signal report. Okay. And this is like a report. This is a little example of a report that we actually run for our clients. Okay. And this report is going to help our clients to understand and to know where they are supposed to focus, where they should focus right now, what they should be doing. And it's just going to save time, quite frankly. Okay? Because a lot of people are still trying to figure out how do I stop wasting so much time? How do I stop just throwing things at the wall just to see if they stick? How do I do that? Huh? And so there is a better way. I want you to know that there's a better way. You do not have to do that. Hey, you guys, welcome in. You do not. But what you do have to do, if you are tired of that and you say, you know what, I've run out of referrals. I've asked everybody that I know if they know of an opportunity for this particular type of program that I have. I've asked a whole bunch of people, and that's it. I've run out. You have to get your own intelligence analyst department within your consulting firm. You have to do that. But you do not have to go through hundreds, if not thousands, of potential leads. You don't. You don't. What you have to do is narrow it down to your top 3 to 5 that you really should be paying attention to, because it only takes one. It literally only takes one. You can close one lead, one prospect, and it be worth tens of thousands of dollars for you. Tens of thousands of dollars. You do not have to put all your focus in random leads all over social media. Okay? You don't. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Again, put signals down in the chat if you want to be invited to a training that I'm having later this month where I'm showing you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it. This is not for people who are looking for a get rich quick, who don't want to put any time and effort into their business, who aren't interested in understanding their own business, and who aren't interested in having meaningful conversations with people. If that's you, this is not for you. This is absolutely not for you. But it is for you if you say, Kat, I got 20 minutes that I can spare, right, to help me figure out how I'm going to position my course and my training for this company and that company and the third. That's all I got time for. But I need it to be meaningful, based on real data, based on what's happening inside that company, based on knowing and understanding what's happening there, because I know that they cannot advertise it. Right? How to use the signals to analyze what's happening so that you can have a realistic conversation with them. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about using data. We're talking about using analysis and knowing what you're looking at and knowing what you're looking for, so that you are not spending all your time trying to figure out. Because here's the reality. You can keep doing what you're doing and trying to find a needle in a haystack just to say you're doing something. You can do it and you can say, hey, I did something. I sent out 300 cold emails this week. So what? And for what? And for what? Nothing. Weird. Getting back a whole bunch of people who are out of office or not interested or telling you to unsubscribe them because it's not relevant. It's not relevant. But what if you had a list of 3 to 5 organizations that are curated based on what you teach and the signals that they're putting off that indicate that you need to connect with that company and how to actually do that. How do we find that 3 to 5? That's it. And make them meaningful and focus on closing those 3 to 5. Finding them, reading their signals, connecting them to your expertise, and then positioning what you have so that you can have a meaningful conversation with them in a way that they're going to be like, oh my God, do these people know us? Do they work here? How do they know what's going on? That is the difference maker. Not throwing a bunch of random DMs out there or a bunch of random emails out there. Everybody gets those. And a lot of people are doing that. It just is not going to get you where you think it might get you. Every blue moon, it might, I don't know, it might generate something. It might produce something. But by and large, it's not going to get you the result. Not like a targeted approach. And in my over 20 years of experience, working with some of the most recognizable brands in the world, Walmart, Uber Eats, Ocean Spray, Verizon, the federal government, I'm telling you, they all rely on data. When we had Course Connects a couple of months ago now in June, we had a panelist of decision makers. And do you want to know the number one question that they asked? Do you want to know the number one question that they wanted to know? They wanted to know, where did this data come from? They wanted to know, where's your data to support it? Some of them had it and some of them didn't. Some of them had it, some of them didn't. The ones that did had a better conversation. I can guarantee you that. And so what I'm talking about is how you are going to stand out from the rest, stand out from the crowd that is just throwing stuff at these people and they have absolutely no idea what these companies are doing, what they're up to, and how their expertise fits in with what the organization is doing. That shouldn't be you. You should be moving based on data and intelligence. Okay? So I'll be letting you all know. You can look around the link in this video as to how to actually join me in a couple of weeks, where I'm going to show you exactly how to do this without having to spend all your time doing it, so that you can see the signals. First of all, know what the signals are, how to interpret those signals, and how to position your program to meet the need of those organizations that are putting out those signals, so that you can work with your top 5 organizations instead of trying to deal with thousands of completely irrelevant, unrelated companies that don't need what you have right now. That is not what we're trying to do. Okay? So keep an eye out for information on how to join. You can comment signals down in the comment section wherever you happen to be watching this to get more information about how you can join us. Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing you all. I'm looking forward to showing you all how to read the signals, how to interpret the signals so that you can get your top 5 that you can just be working with to have meaningful conversations and get closer to the yes. Okay. I hope this helped you all. I hope this gave you some hope and some inspiration. Let me know down in the comments. And until next time, stay on course. See you soon.